If you work with clients, leaders, or cross-functional teams, your English has to do more than sound polite. It has to help people understand the problem, trust your analysis, and move toward a decision. In this lesson, we will practice 50 management consultant phrases you can use to diagnose business problems, explain findings, present recommendations, and influence clients without sounding too aggressive or too vague. You do not have to be a consultant to use these phrases. They are useful for business analysis, project managers, operations leaders, product managers, and anyone who needs to advise others in a professional way. I'm Coach Theo, and I help global professionals communicate more confidently in English. Let's begin. Okay, let's begin. Management Consultant English. This is a perfect presentation if you're in management or a similar field and you're at an intermediate or advanced English level and you're looking to improve your professional communication. Okay, let's dive right into our 50 phrases. First, let's just understand why this matters to you as a consultant. Consulting English is different from casual business English. A consultant has to speak and ask clear questions, identify patterns, explain evidence, and guide the client toward a practical decision. Many professionals know the technical answer, but they struggle to say it in a way that sounds structured and credible. They may sound too direct, too uncertain, or too general. In this lesson, listen for the language pattern behind the phrases. Most of these phrases do one of four things: clarify the problem, organize the evidence, compare options, or move the conversation toward action. That is the communication style clients usually expect from a strong advisor. Let's look at the consultant speaking map. We diagnose what is really happening. We analyze what does the evidence show. We recommend what should we do next. We influence how do we build confidence and alignment. So remember this flow. This is your flow chart. Diagnose, analyze, recommend, and influence. As we go through the phrases, notice where each phrase belongs in the conversation. Some phrases are best at the beginning when you're trying to understand the situation. Others are stronger later when you present options, manage concerns, and move towards a decision. Let's begin with diagnose the problem. We start by making the problem clear before offering a solution. What problem are we trying to solve? What changed that made this urgent now? Where's the process breaking down? What does success look like from your perspective? Which symptoms are visible and which causes are hidden? So these are the first 5 phrases in your phrase bank. And I will go back over them just for a moment. Phrase 1, what problem are we trying to solve? It sounds simple, but it prevents the team from solving the wrong issue. Phrase 2 adds urgency. What changed that made this urgent now? This helps you understand the business trigger. Phrase 3 looks for the breakpoint in a process. Phrase 4 clarifies the desired outcome. Phrase 5 separates symptoms from causes. Symptoms are what people see. Causes are what create the symptoms. The distinction makes you sound analytical and professional. Next, we have clarify the scope, define business boundaries so the discussion stays focused and useful. So after you understand the problem, you clarify the scope. Scope means the boundary of that work. Okay, so phrase 6 here is useful. To keep this focused, I suggest we define the scope first. This is polite, but it also shows leadership. Next, is this issue isolated or does it affect multiple teams? Next, what assumptions are we making right now? Next, what constraints should we keep in mind? Next, which decision needs to be made at the end? So you are not just talking, you are guiding the conversation toward a practical outcome. Third section, understand stakeholders. Consultants must understand who will be affected and who must agree. Who is most affected by this change? What concerns are stakeholders likely to raise? Where do we need alignment before moving forward? What information would help them feel confident? Who needs to be consulted before we recommend a solution? So before you advise the client, make sure the right people have been consulted. If you like this information so far, please give us a like. Thank you. Analyze causes and data. This is number 4. Move from opinions to evidence without making people defensive. The data suggests 3 possible drivers. This pattern appears consistently across several teams. The root cause may not be the most visible issue. We should separate facts from opinion here. The numbers point to a gap between expectation and execution. Section 5. Explain findings clearly. Make your findings understandable without overloading the client. Our main finding is that the process is unclear at handoff points. The evidence points to a capacity issue, not a motivation issue. This is less about effort and more about system design. The strongest signal is coming from customer feedback. The issue appears manageable if addressed early. Section 6, prioritize the work. help the client focus on what matters first. We should focus on the highest impact problem first. Not every issue requires immediate action. This option gives us the fastest learning cycle. The bigger risk is delaying the decision. We can phase the work to reduce disruption. Section 7. Present options. Give leaders choices without making the conversation messy. There are 3 practical paths forward. Option 1 is the least disruptive, but it may not solve the full problem. Option 2 requires more change, but creates a stronger long-term outcome. Option 3 is a pilot before a wider rollout. I would not recommend doing everything at once. Section 8. Recommend action. Move from analysis to a specific step. Based on the evidence, I recommend starting with a pilot. This approach balances speed, cost, and risk. The first step should be simple and measurable. We can review results after 30 days. If the pilot works, we can scale it gradually. Section 9. Discuss trade-offs and risks. A strong consultant names risks and shows how to manage them. The trade-off is speed versus completeness. The main implementation risk is unclear ownership. This could create resistance if communication is weak. We can reduce that risk with clear roles and timelines. The cost of inaction may be higher than the cost of change. Section 10. Influence and close. Build confidence, handle concerns, and guide the decision. I understand the concern, and I think we can address it directly. Let me connect this recommendation to your business priority. The goal is not a perfect plan, it is a workable next step. The decision point is whether this problem is important enough to address now. My recommendation is to move forward with a controlled first step. Okay, now it's time to practice. We want to upgrade weak language, replace vague comments with consultant-style English. Maybe the team should improve the process. Now, this is not terrible English, but it is too vague. It does not tell the client what the problem is, where it is happening, or what action to take. Now, this is the consultant style. The evidence points to a process issue at the handoff points. I recommend starting with a simple pilot. This version is stronger for 3 reasons. First, it is evidence-based. Second, it is specific about the problem area, the handoff points. Third, it recommends a practical next step, a simple pilot. When you speak like this, you sound like someone who can help leaders make decisions, not just describe a problem. Let's take a look at the speaking model. Use this three-step structure. This is a simple model, right? You can use this in real meetings. When a client or leader asks, "What do you think we should do?" do not begin with a long explanation. Use three steps. Step one, based on the evidence. This tells the listener that your answer is not just a personal opinion. Step two, I recommend. This is where you give a clear point of view. Many professionals avoid recommendations because they do not want to sound too direct. But in consulting conversations, people often expect a point of view. And step three, the next step should be. This turns the recommendation into action. So here's the full example. Based on the evidence, I recommend starting with a pilot. The next step should be a 30-day test with clear ownership and measurable results. So create your own examples that are appropriate for your business and the type of meetings that you normally are in. So let's review the big idea. Consultant English helps people move from confusion to decision. First, diagnose early or clearly. Do not jump to the solution before you understand the problem. Second, explain the evidence. Use phrases like the data suggests or the evidence points to and the strongest signal is. Third, recommend action. A strong recommendation should be specific, measurable, and realistic. Fourth, influence respectfully. You do not need to pressure the client. You need to connect your recommendation to their priorities and make the next step feel practical. If this lesson was useful, subscribe to Mastering English Communication for more professional English lessons for global professionals. I'm Coach Theo. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next lesson as we continue our linguistic adventure together. Take care, everyone.